The Twilight Zone is one of those shows that I can't stop watching. I can rewatch all of the episodes, but there are some that I keep coming back to time after time and never get tired of. They aren't necessarily the flashiest or the most famous ones either. Even though I know every twist and turn that's coming, every little line of dialogue, they still pull me in. So let me present you with my top 10 Twilight Zone episodes that I just can't get enough of. Not because they shock me anymore, but because they still feel strangely alive.
Fantasy, sci-fi, nostalgia, reruns of it.
I know who you are. I know you've come from a long way from here.
This one's a heart-wrencher. Every time I watch this episode, it hits harder and a little closer to home than it did the last time. When I first saw it, it felt like a gentle fantasy about going back to childhood. Now, it seems more like a quiet warning about what happens when we spend too much time wishing our lives had turned out differently. Gig Young plays Martin Sloan, a stressed-out advertising executive who wanders into a familiar small town and slowly realizes he's stepped back into his own past. There's no special effects, no shocking twists, just an overwhelming sense of longing. Longing for his past. Longing for happier times. The carousel music, the empty streets, the old-fashioned storefronts all feel warm and inviting. But there's an uneasiness underneath it all. This isn't a place that you're meant to stay. Rod Serling wrote this episode after returning to his hometown and realizing that he could never really go back, no matter how much he wanted to. That personal regret hangs over every scene. What makes Walking Distance so addictive is how very honest it is. It doesn't punish its character. It reminds us that memories are meant to be just memories, not lived in. And the older you get, the more that message lingers long after the episode ends.
Willoughby, your stop is Willoughby. Willoughby!
This is another episode that grows more poignant with every rewatch. It's not horror or sci-fi. It's an emotional escape, and it lingers in your mind long after it's over. The first time I saw it, it felt like a strange little fantasy about escaping from an unhappy and stressful life. Watching it now, it feels more like an uncomfortably honest look at exhaustion, mental, emotional, and even spiritual. James Daly plays Gart Williams, an overworked advertising executive trapped between a brutal job and a loveless marriage. His only relief comes during his train rides home, where he begins dreaming of a peaceful town called Willoughby, a place that seems untouched by pressure or ambition. The scenes in Willoughby are soft and inviting, almost suspended in time, but the real world presses in relentlessly. It's the slow grind of a man being worn down. Rod Serling was clearly tapping into post-war anxieties about success and burnout, themes that are still painfully familiar. What makes this episode so addictive is how quietly it sneaks up on you. It's the realization that sometimes your desire to escape becomes stronger than your will to endure. This one's an emotional ride that once it starts, it's impossible to get off. Just like that train to Willoughby.
That's not fair. That's not fair at all.
Okay, this one's famous, but it's famous for a reason. Burgess Meredith's performance alone makes it compulsively watchable. What makes it addictive isn't the twist, it's the quiet buildup and the cruel inevitability of the ending. Every time I watch it, I think, maybe this time it won't end that way, even though I know it will. And that's exactly why I keep watching it. I focus less on the ending and more on everything else that leads up to it. Burgess Meredith's Henry Bemis isn't just a man who loves books. He's a man quietly suffocating in a world that has no patience for him. His job, his marriage, even casual human interaction all seem designed to punish him for wanting nothing more than a little peace and solitude. And of course, a good book to read. The premise is simple. A man finally gets what he's always wanted: time to read, uninterrupted by society. But what makes the episode so compelling isn't the nuclear devastation or the cruel twist that follows. It's the loneliness that comes before it. Meredith plays Bemis as fragile, gentle, already broken long before the world ends. When he rises from the rubble, his joy feels almost painful to watch because we know how rare happiness has been for him. Serling's script has an irony to it and an indifference. The universe doesn't punish Bemis, it simply doesn't care. That's why the episode is still so addictive. Even knowing the ending by heart, you keep watching, hoping against all reason that this time, somehow, things might turn out differently for Henry.
We're gonna push this baby up until she's going as fast as she can. We're gonna climb till we get back into that jet stream, and then we're gonna try to go back where we came from.
Rod's imagination was on fire here with the kind of high-concept story that proves Serling could do science fiction just as well as he did morality tales. Every time I rewatch this episode, I see something new. And if you've never seen this one, beware. There are spoilers ahead. Flight 33, en route from London to New York, suddenly breaks through the sound barrier and ends up back in time. First stop, prehistoric Earth, with dinosaurs grazing below the plane's wings. The effects are dated, sure, but the impact is still there. When they try to get back to their own time, they end up in 1939, the year of the New York World's Fair. What I love here isn't just the twist, it's the execution. The tension feels real, the cockpit chatter seems authentic, and the eerie realization that the crew may never get home gives the episode this quiet melancholy. Serling actually consulted real Pan Am pilots to get the lingo just right. And the dinosaur scene uses stock footage from the film 1 million BC in 1940, which gives it that odd mix of realism and old-school Hollywood charm. And that closing shot, the plane still circling, searching for its own time, is haunting. It's one of my favorites to rewatch because it just captures the pure wonder of the unknown. Every time I see that jet fading into the clouds, I think about how fragile and strange time and reality really is.
Take it off me! Take it off me!
Even if you know the twist, this one is still extremely rewatchable, time after time. And that says everything you want to know about this episode. Everything about it is addictive. The camera angles, the shadows, and that slow reveal at the end. Few episodes of The Twilight Zone are remembered as vividly as Eye of the Beholder. From the opening moments, the episode creates a sense of unease through what it refuses to show. Faces are hidden, voices are cold, and the camera carefully avoids revealing the world in full, keeping the viewer in a constant state of tension. Donna Douglas plays Janet Tyler, a woman undergoing what is described as her final attempt at corrective surgery. As doctors and nurses discuss her fate, it becomes clear that conformity, not healing, is the real goal here. The episode's strength isn't just the famous reveal, but the tense atmosphere that leads up to it. Rod Serling uses science fiction as a mirror, holding it up to society's obsession with sameness. What makes Eye of the Beholder so addictive is how carefully it's constructed. Even when you know exactly what's coming next, the slow buildup pulls you in and reminds you that the most unsettling ideas don't need to shout out loud to leave a lasting mark. This episode is mesmerizing with a powerful story and great acting. There's almost no dialogue here, no narration guiding you along, just a lone woman and an isolated farmhouse. Agnes Moorehead carries the entire episode through her physical performance alone. Her character lives a hard, solitary life, and when tiny intruders begin attacking her home, her fear and determination feel completely real. The lack of spoken words forces you to watch closely. Every movement, every reaction matters. It's storytelling through pure observation. What makes The Invaders so compelling to revisit is how simple the story is. Written by Twilight Zone regular Richard Matheson, the audience is trusted to pay attention, and the episode rewards that trust with one of the series' most memorable reversals. Even when you know the truth behind the invaders, the tension never fades. It remains a masterclass in visual storytelling and a reminder that sometimes silence can be the most powerful tool of all.
Room for one more, honey.
This is one of the infamous 6 episodes from Season 2 that were shot on videotape to save money, but I don't care. I absolutely love this episode. It's all atmosphere. Hospitals, dreams, premonitions. It's eerie without being loud about it. And that recurring dream sequence, it's pure Twilight Zone. 22 is one of those Twilight Zone episodes that's like a half-remembered dream that you can't quite shake. It opens in a hospital, a setting that already feels uneasy, and then quietly repeats itself over and over, each time with just enough variation to deepen the sense that something terrible is approaching. Barbara Nichols plays Liz Powell, a dancer recovering from exhaustion who begins having the same recurring nightmare. In it, she's called to a hospital morgue, room number 22, where a nurse calmly informs her that there is room for one more, honey. The dream is brief, almost mundane, but that's exactly what makes it so disturbing, the inevitability of it. Rod Serling understood the power of repetition here. Each time the dream returns, it becomes harder to dismiss, and the line between sleep and waking life starts to blur. We also see Jonathan Harris guest starring as the Doctor here, before he landed his famous role as Dr. Smith on Lost in Space, and Arlene Martell, who later played Spock's wife to Pring in the Star Trek episode Amok Time. What makes 22 so addictive is that it doesn't rush or explain itself. It just lets the dread accumulate until the ending feels both shocking and completely unavoidable. Long after it's over, that final invitation still echoes in your head.
We ask only that you trust us. Only that you simply trust us.
I'd love to watch and rewatch this episode. At first, it feels optimistic. The Canamits arrive on Earth offering knowledge, technology, and peace. And for once, humanity seems willing to believe that help might come without strings attached. What makes this episode so effective is how patiently it earns that trust. The aliens are calm, articulate, and seemingly benevolent. Governments cooperate, people relax, and life genuinely begins to improve. There's no immediate sense of danger, which makes the events that follow feel natural, not forced. The threat isn't hidden behind shadows or monsters. It's hidden behind politeness and good intentions. Rod Serling was always fascinated by humanity's willingness to surrender skepticism in exchange for comfort, and that idea runs straight through this story. The famous twist is unforgettable for sure, but the build-up makes the episode endlessly rewatchable. Knowing the ending only sharpens the experience because you start noticing every small moment along the way. It's a reminder that the most dangerous traps are the ones that look like gifts.
Need some sleep or something.
Every time I rewatch this one, I get the same creepy feeling I did when I first saw it. Vera Miles plays Millicent Barnes, a woman stranded in a bus station, slowly realizing she's being replaced by her double. The ticket agent says this is the 3rd time she's asked about the bus. A suitcase identical to hers is present, but she insists that she never left it there. Who is this double, and what does she want? Those are the questions we never get an answer for, but it's a chilling thought. What if we could be replaced by an unknown enemy against our will, by a duplicate who looks exactly like us? Serling said he came up with the idea after seeing a man across an airport terminal who looked exactly like him, and wondering, what if that was me? That eerie personal thought bleeds into every frame. The lighting is sharp and sterile, making the whole thing feel like a waking dream. What makes it one of my favorites is that it's not about aliens or time warps. It's about the fear of losing yourself, your identity slipping away. We all have those moments where we catch our reflection in a mirror and don't quite recognize the person looking back at us. This episode turns that fleeting thought into a nightmare. 60 years later, Serling's still haunting us with that one perfect question. What if the real monster is me? This was a tough video to make because there are just so many episodes that I love to watch and rewatch. Here are some of my honorable mentions that came extremely close to being in this list. It's a Good Life. In a quiet Midwestern town, 6-year-old Anthony Fremont possesses godlike mental powers, able to bend reality to his will and erase anyone who displeases him. Death Ship. 3 astronauts land on a desolate planet and discover a crashed spacecraft identical to their own, including bodies that looked exactly like them inside. The Jungle. After returning from Africa, a businessman finds himself haunted by strange sounds, primal fears, and an overwhelming sense that something has followed him home. And finally, The Hitchhiker. A young woman driving cross-country after a car accident becomes increasingly disturbed by a silent hitchhiker who keeps appearing along her route, no matter how far she travels. And now to my number 1 pick.
There's a man out there.
What?
Look!
Here we are at my number 1 rewatchable Twilight Zone episode. Few episodes of The Twilight Zone are as relentlessly tense as Nightmare at 20,000 feet. From the moment the airplane lifts off the runway, the story locks you in a confined space where there's no escape. Everything hinges on perception. What's real, what isn't, and who gets believed when fear takes over. Richard Matheson gives us another outstanding episode here that is also directed by a 33-year-old Richard Donner, who later directed The Omen in 1976 and Superman in 1978. William Shatner gives a raw, anxious performance as Bob Wilson, a man already struggling with a recent nervous breakdown. That history matters here because it poisons every reaction he has. When he spots something moving on the wing of an airplane, we are trapped inside his panic, forcing us to experience the same doubt and isolation that he does. Is this a genuine threat or just another breakdown? What really makes this episode so addictive to rewatch is how efficiently it builds the anxiety. The setting is claustrophobic, the stakes are immediate, and the tension never lets up. Even knowing exactly what's coming next, the episode still works because it taps into a universal fear, seeing danger clearly while everyone around you thinks that you're crazy. What keeps me coming back to the Twilight Zone after all these years isn't just the twists or the science fiction ideas. It's the feeling that these episodes understand something about us, our fears, our regrets, our hopes, and the things we don't always like to admit out loud. These 10 are the episodes that I never seem to get tired of, no matter how many times I've watched them. Not because they surprise me anymore, but because they still speak to me. They feel different at different stages of my life, and somehow more relevant with each passing year. That's the quiet magic of the Twilight Zone. Long after Serling's final narration fades, the ideas linger on, and every so often, you find yourself reaching for one more episode because there's something very familiar waiting there, just beyond the edge, waiting for you in the Twilight Zone. My passion is to keep these classic movies and TV shows alive. If you'd like to support my effort, hit that join button below and become a channel member for just 99 cents. Let me know your favorite highly rewatchable Twilight Zone episodes in the comments below. This is Rick from Rerun Zone. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good night.